Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. I'm gonna do an update on XRP. I'm seeing some signs that are looking very positive, specifically for this altcoin. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. If you do like the new format of dedicated videos in depth about the altcoins, I really wanna make an official request to get the most likes possible and comments underneath every video. Once we get with those type of videos over 1,000 views, I'm gonna keep making this type of videos until we get 5,000 views per video. Right, let's go straight into it. As you can see, XRP on the daily time frame has managed to take all the liquidity below. Precisely, it went to $1.9. This was my expectation, which is the most bullish scenario, to wipe the lows, take out of the way that. Remember that the maximum risk in this setup was if we were to go into the 1.5, but for that I clearly state that Bitcoin needed to fail on its reclaim of the neckline. Since we currently are at 105k reclaiming that neckline so far, if we stay there in that trajectory, XRP is gonna carry on doing what it's supposed to be doing in a bullish scenario, which is to go next for the 2.37 liquidation level and hopefully into the range highs around $2.7, where we can see there is an accumulation of liquidity pools. Rejection from 105 and a break below the neckline, which we just reclaimed, it is, just like Trump says, a major violation. Notice that I'm just trading what I see in the charts and what I see in the data. I am intentionally ignoring all the noise out there that seems that is never gonna stop. On the weekly chart, we can see that thanks to this bounce from 196 support, we are once again attempting a breakout from the lows against the downward sloping resistance. We're talking about a rally into more or less RSI 70 that constitutes a revenge rally. Let's see where that is in the price. As of today, the moving target is giving us roughly $3.6. So let's start looking into the healthiness of the coin before we step into the news. When it comes to news, we have 3 bullish news, an 8, a 7, and a 6 out of 10. So make sure you stay for those news. Continuing with the healthiness of the move, we can see that we are still in the squeeze, which is at the same time an area of value when it comes to longs versus shorts. Of course, we don't want a puke like this one that broke down. What we actually want is continuation to the upside. This setup, although it seems similar to this one, I consider it different because we've been bouncing and we already have taken loads of longs from the very top of the range, pinching the last percentile at the very highs of historic values of longs being extremely overcrowded. We have come back to test a very healthy, valuable point in here. What we need now is continuation, hold the longs, not let them get less than 43%, and let's go back to slam the top percentiles of longs. At that point, we're gonna be looking into taking profits, of course. Things for XRP are getting loud. After all, there are news all over the place with expectations of integrations with different platforms being potentially used by countries, and all of that brings in the usual hype of this specific coin. If you've been in the channel for a while, you know that I'm not touching XRP again, but that's just a promise I made to myself after holding this beautiful coin for quite a long time and exiting at $2.7 if I remember right. You can go and watch my video and my tweets about it. I said if I ever make a huge profit from this thing, that's it, I'm out. Social dominance is at 4.2% and the highest it's ever been is 6%. So it is pretty crowded, 66% of the all-time high. It is a lot of noise. I consider really positive that we took out of the way all this depth. Now, if we bring in the 3x and the 5x, which are the most experienced traders, we could say that we took all the digits out of the way, which is what we need to carry on to the upside. If we enter into a capitulation, a decent one, I'm talking about a drawdown 30% plus on Bitcoin due to anything that happens outside the world of crypto, then that 1.5 is definitely gonna hurt those more experienced experienced traders. Let's have a look at the news in the past 48 hours. I am making videos dedicated for altcoins pretty much every day, and my last video on XRP was 4 days ago when I was talking about a liquidity hunt. You can see it right here, and in the title it is absolutely settled what we just did. That is the liquidity hunt. If you're liking the videos, hit the like and write down a comment down below if you want to secure more videos like this in the future. Ripple offers 50 million cash settlement 6N to the SEC injunction. That is on the 24th of June and is appearing in multiple sources, Invest and Coin Edition. They want to pay in cash, not XRP, confirmed by an expert. A lighter fine and removal of institutional sell restrictions dissolve the key legal drag. Traders bid XRP. And I still remember when this whole drama on XRP started with the SEC, because I was actually holding at that point. Pretty much that is the beginning of my promise to eventually sell as close as possible as $3. My sell was a total revenge sell. You can see in here, if we look at where there is aggressive buying and aggressive selling, I sold during the aggressive selling in all this area. But now, as you can see, we are entering an area where there is a little bit more of an aggressive buying relative to the areas of these highs. If we go into the previous cycle, we had right after all this initial selling, a bunch of timings where there was aggressive buying. We can see that that didn't necessarily bring a new all-time high. That's why I'm showing you this area that looks very promising, assuming that all these fundamentals are gonna do the trick this cycle for the first time. In the previous cycle, it didn't do it, clearly. Well, there was the SEC against it and all of that, blah blah fundamentals, blah blah fundamentals. 3IQ's spot XRP ETF hits C32 million Canadian dollars, 32 million in 3 days. First North American XRP ETF's rapid inflows validate demand for regulated exposure and hint at what a US product could unleash. This is qualified as a 7 out of 10. It is bullish. Banks can now partner with Ripple on cross-border rails. Policy change spark a 9% intraday pop in XRP and expands future utility. And I think this is the big bet that retail and most of the traders are doing. I'm going to start bringing in CryptoQuant summary. I don't know why I forgot about this. It's a really good place to have an overall look on the coins. Let me know in the comments if you want me to include this on all the other coins that we've been covering on a daily basis. You can see that everything is in the green on these days for XRP. The most important takeaway I will say is that the taker buy is a dominant in the last 90 days. So there is aggressive buying. We are not necessarily in the bubble area. We are cooling down. You can see the bubble was literally there where I was selling. Now we are in the green. So there is a cool down in that area. In 2021, we have bubble occurring around the $2, and then there was some buying. We have a rally, then there was some buying in here, but those guys were trapped up until December 2024. So watch out with being part of a crowd buying as we end this cycle. Don't get trapped for 4 years and then end up like myself hating a coin. Another thing that is positive at this time for XRP is that those buys that are currently occurring are not necessarily retail. These are big wells that are producing orders. So I suspect that this is some sort of confirmation of the institutional interest at this point on XRP. All my other videos that I publish from today and on, I'm gonna be showing you the ones that are actually being led by retail. Just this morning, I mentioned to you that retail, the average size of the positions are being led by them. And although all the things are quite positive, I do not like to be on the same side with retail, just because they tend to get wrecked, and I'd rather step aside and let them get wrecked by themselves. So far, that is not the case with XRP. Let's see what comes in the next few days when we do the next update of XRP. But in a nutshell, if Bitcoin manages to hold above 100K, I think we have very high chances that XRP can hit 2.4 and 2.8 on the top of the range and even go way further away. If you want the most aggressive targets, the extension on one is 477 and the golden pocket is 6.7 as of today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.